Private investigators and expert witnesses can be used in sex crimes cases on a case-by-case basis. Obviously, there is an extra fee associated with each of these, and so we only want to use them when there is a situation that is right for it. Not every case you're going to need an expert witness. Not every case you're going to need a private investigator. Specifically dealing with private investigators, a really good use of these is when we believe that the alleged victim has either told someone else that it didn't happen or possibly posted about it on social media, things of that nature. We see that oftentimes when someone is wrongfully accusing another individual of a sex crime. They often come clean to either a friend or family member or sometimes even a stranger or sometimes just on social media. And so rather than us as the attorneys trying to track that down and making ourselves a witness to the case, we hire a private investigator, and our private investigator that we typically use, she is a former detective herself and is amazing at getting things done. We use her services in order to make her the witness instead of making ourselves the witness and then not being able to represent the individual. To go and track down and get statements from any witnesses that there may have been that the law enforcement did not get a hold of. Often happens because when law enforcement are doing their investigation, oftentimes law enforcement, once they have investigated to the point where they feel like they've got the individual, they don't see any reason to continue an investigation to possibly find witnesses that might not be favorable for their alleged victim. So our private investigator steps into that role and will track down or attempt to track down any witnesses that we think could be beneficial for our client. And it's not just witnesses. They can track down cell phone records, go through cell phone records. We've used our private investigator to track down hotel receipts, things of that nature, in order to help gather evidence that we believe is going to be beneficial for our client. We also do oftentimes use her services before one of our clients is even charged with a crime, because oftentimes we have found that witnesses are more willing to talk to us, more willing to talk to her prior to any charges being filed because they don't realize the seriousness of everything, and they just want to be honest and talk with whoever asks them questions. As far as expert witnesses in sex crimes, that comes into play in a few different ways. We have expert witnesses that are doctors, expert witnesses that are nurses, kind of depending on what the specific allegations are. Sometimes there are allegations out there that just don't biologically make sense. And so we can bring in a doctor or a nurse who can explain to the judge or a jury exactly why that doesn't exactly make sense. Or if there's labs done, DNA, we see DNA testing oftentimes, and we can bring in an expert to explain things like touch DNA. What touch DNA is, let's say, for example, you are a parent, and one of the things as a parent you do is your child's laundry. And as you are folding their garments, their clean laundry, your DNA is going to touch their garments and potentially place your DNA on their garments. So if they were ever later tested, your DNA could come up on their garments. And so having an expert come in and explain that to a judge or a jury. Let's say, for example, you have a client who is accused of something because their DNA, just their DNA, not sperm, but their DNA found on an individual's underwear, and an expert might be able to come in and explain different ways of how that could have gotten there in a very innocent way, like simply doing their laundry. Every case is unique, every case is different, and simply having an attorney to guide you through what in your case would be best, which expert would be best, what evidence would be best to track down, and going through that with you is simply the best thing to do for your defense.